And we are back with more News Talk. Hour 2 of the Marc Patrone radio program. As the contestants, I guess you want to call them, those vying to be the standard bearers for the Democratic Party, get ready to take the stage this evening. And for the first time, that list is going to include the diminutive but incredibly rich Mike Bloomberg, who's, I don't know. I mean, it's Sanders who is surging in the polls, but you know, I tell you, Bloomberg has just shot up, showing that, proving that money does matter, notwithstanding what's going on with Tom Steyer. But as reported by NBC News, Bernie Sanders has opened up a double-digit lead nationally over his closest rivals in the Democratic presidential primary, where Michael Bloomberg's rise appears to have scrambled the race. So the Vermont senator, that would be Sanders, still has support about 27% of the Democratic primary voters, a figure which has really not moved all that much. Anyway, what I want to know is Bloomberg going to be standing on an orange crate of some kind? And I'm hoping that Miles Kristen of Wisconsin International Radio has that answered. Are you getting any intel on that, Miles?
On Bernie Sanders possibly winning the primary?
No, on Bloomberg standing on a crate because, you know, he's got height issues, right?
Oh, I am blown away by how much money, not just is he putting in an advertisement, but how much money he is looking to pay campaign staff. I found out in Wisconsin he's paying as much as $6,000 a month for low-level, like, rank-and-file employees.
All right, so this is sending a shot of alarm through the rest of the ranks, right? Bernie sees this. You've got Elizabeth Warren saying we've got to stop this egomaniac billionaire. And he's not talking about Trump. He's talking about Bloomberg.
Well,
She's talking about Bloomberg, rather.
He says that he will pay these people through the election even if he doesn't get the nomination. So, so you got somebody like maybe Buttigieg becomes the nominee, but then you're going to still have his staffers, a lot of his staffers paid for by Bloomberg. So you'll still have Democratic staffers answering to this egomaniac billionaire. It's disgusting. And then Buttigieg, he is openly saying he'll take Bloomberg's people. He'll take Bloomberg's money. You know, I'll give Sanders credit where credit is due, and it sounds like Sanders is saying he does not want Bloomberg's money. So
I thought he was kind of being a little coy on that. I've heard different accounts. So you're saying that he's been categorical about that because I know he was asked a question and he kind of dodged, but now he's saying, no, I'm not going to take Bloomberg's money if I win the nomination.
I mean, this just shows that the people in the Democratic Party, and the vast majority of them, have just no principles. Agree with them or disagree with them. The fact that a guy like Bloomberg can just come in and buy up the party, and like that video I shot a few weeks ago, the people were just like, oh, he can get it done. It's like they have no standing, no principles,
No, absolutely not. And it sounds like Bloomberg, though, he's really making his polling numbers are quite shocking. And I think he's going to get some Republicans as well. But let's listen a little bit to what Bernie Sanders had to say, taking a shot at Mike Bloomberg.
Bloomberg has every right in the world to run for president of the United States. He's an American citizen. But I don't think he has the right to buy this election. We pride ourselves on being the longest-standing democracy in the world, and we're proud of that. To me, what that means, one person, one vote. You want to run for president? You run for president. You got good ideas, maybe you win, maybe you don't win. But I do think it's a bit obscene that we have somebody who, by the way, chose not to contest in Iowa, in Nevada, in South Carolina, in New Hampshire, where all of the candidates, we did town meetings, we're talking to thousands and thousands of people working hard. He said, I don't have to do that. I'm worth $60 billion. I have more wealth than the bottom 125 million Americans. I'll buy the presidency.
And he is buying it. He's carpet bombing the airwaves with ads, with all this cash that he's got to spend. And he's making some headway. So I guess obviously a guy like Sanders is going to be angry. He's going to come out and say, well, look, my money is coming from rank and file Americans, not billionaires. The average person donating to the Sanders campaign is spending $18.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So they're actually down to 8 candidates now. Tulsi is still running, and Tom Steyer is still running, and both of them are not going to be in the Nevada debate.
Right.
The other 6 candidates will be. A lot of people dropped out over the last month. Deval Patrick, Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson.
Biden when does Biden pack? Is Biden in for the duration, or is he going to pack it in?
Oh, Biden's got. I'm sure he's not going to drop out, and he's in it for the long haul.
Well, he's embarrassing himself, but calling that woman a dog-faced pony soldier, a supporter, even. I mean, a liar. I mean, this guy is just all over the map. And
the questions of corruption, not just with his son, but apparently there's a brother named James Biden who's got some issues as well. I mean, jeez.
Okay, so what are you looking for today? So Bloomberg is going to come out swinging, right? But I think who's going to be the target here tonight? Do you think is it going to be Biden, who I guess is still leading in the polls, or is it going to be a guy like Bloomberg, who stands out like a sore thumb? He's a former Republican, a billionaire, an old white guy like Biden, but just the same, he's an old, really rich white guy who's apparently trying to buy this thing. And so, is he the guy who's going to have the guns turned against him for, at least the start of this debate, do you think? What do you see happening tonight?
It's actually ironic you use the term guns because I guess one of the things about Bloomberg is he's super, super against the Second Amendment, and so he's able to really get the support of the anti-gun. I call them. People use the term gun nuts. I refer to some people as the anti-gun nuts. So, you got your crazy anti-gun people in this country, and they really like Bloomberg because he hates the Second Amendment. But Bloomberg makes Joe Biden look like Che Guevara. I mean, he is such a ridiculously horrible candidate. I mean, the banning of the soda. I'm more concerned about how he treated journalists and freedom of speech, and basically he brought New York City to an even bigger police state. I know,
and he's in bed with the Chinese. So much of his money was made in China, was it not? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not an expert on where he made his money, but it's really funny. I remember actually seeing a sign, Mike Bloomberg for president, back in 2007 when I was in New York once.
Running for the Republicans? Or was he going to? I guess that was at the end of George W. Bush's term, right? And then Obama.
Do you think he may have? Yeah, I don't know if he was an independent by that point, but it was a strange thing to see.
Yeah, and is it true? I mean, okay, so Hillary has come out and says, well, I don't want to be Bloomberg's running mate. I mean, so where is she in all this? You can't really believe anything she says, but apparently there have been talks between the Bloomberg camp and Hillary's people, or Hillary herself. They go, how would you like it if you were my running mate? So you'd have 2 rabid anti-gun people basically running the country.
Well, I always think of that "hold my beer" meme. It's like, oh man, wow, can they give it to somebody dumber than Joe Biden? And it's like, hold my beer. Here's Bloomberg. And it's like, wow, can they do anything dumber to ensure Trump's victory? Oh, maybe bring in Hillary. Now there is this chance that he might ask this woman named Stacey Abrams.
Right? Yeah.
She ran for governor of Georgia, I believe it was, a few months back.
Yeah, and lost.
Well, actually, I guess a year ago or so, 2018. And she lost by a very small majority, and then she started teaming up with the Council on Foreign Relations and Bilderberg. Bilderberg used to be this secretive, not real, it's a conspiracy, and now they're just out in the open like, oh, yeah, here we are, we're Bilderberg, this is our convention.
Yeah, that's exactly right. One world government types, those guys, right?
Yeah, but, most Americans are completely unaware of these kind of weird organizations like that. And Stacey Abrams she is in there with the CFR and Bilderberg, and so she's a great vice presidential candidate. And if you're a this globalist,
Absolutely.
controlling police state type, I guess.
Yeah, absolute, complete open borders, right? Just like Bloomberg, open borders, just like Abrams. So if you want to remake the country as some kind of a globalist, domino, then I guess that's your team. But the word is that he's the biggest threat. That Bloomberg is the one guy who could probably beat Donald Trump. What do you think?
Oh, not a chance.
Not a chance. Okay. I bet you wouldn't have put money on him being as popular now, running second in the polls. I mean, that in itself is a bit of a shocker. So,
well, because here's one thing. In the end, I know that there are enough Democrats that if Bloomberg were the candidate, they just would not vote. I mean, and there's a couple candidates. There are a couple candidates, Bloomberg, Sanders, Warren, where it's just they're so repulsive. I know Democrats that would not vote for him. I mean, I will not vote for Trump. I'm a libertarian, but I mean, a guy like Bloomberg, it's like if Bloomberg were the candidate, it almost makes me want to vote for Trump just out of like, okay, heck with it. This is what you deserve if you're going to throw these candidates at me.
So you're going to vote strategically. If the alternative is a President Bloomberg, then you're going to say, well, he's got to be stopped. And so you bite the bullet and vote Trump.
I'm just a real quick analogy. I think of that scene from The Big Lebowski when they're asking him where the money is and they're throwing his head in the toilet, and then he goes, "It's down there. Let me take another look." Like that's how I feel about it. If it came down to Bloomberg versus Trump, I would even consider voting for Trump just as a middle finger to the establishment at that point. I mean, luckily I'll probably vote for somebody like Vermin Supreme or whatever, but. It's disgusting, these candidates that they're throwing at us.
Well, thank you, Miles. Really appreciate this. Maybe we'll get a chance to chat after the debates, and you can give me your take on who won, if anybody did.
The bankers won.
Wall Street's going to win.
Wall Street. Yep.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Miles Kristen from Wisconsin International Radio, coming to us from that little blue city, Madison, Wisconsin. And we'll be back with more news talk after this.